I had an out-of-body experience. I guess I'm going here now. So for many years, I have had lucid dreams and other strange phenomena. But for a long time, I thought I wanted to experience what certain different masters can do, right? Where they consciously, whilst awake, have their soul leave their body, which is exactly what happens when you're sleeping, okay? So I have been, for like 4 years, I was like, putting my thought there once in a while because I just wanted to see what it felt like, to be honest. And I actually had the experience. And the funniest thing is that I believe that gratitude had something to do with it. So if anyone who is interested, this is what happened. So I was like awake in my bed and I saw above my head what looked like a gold orb, which kind of started to turn into the sketch of like what looked like a little fairy. Now, I don't know if there was a fairy there, okay? All I'm saying is that I believe that when the higher spiritual beings want us to have an experience, they have to use something that will help us not have fear, because you cannot have those experiences in a fear vibe. So if I were to just have raised out of my body without, like this little fairy in front of me, which made me like feel so relaxed, then I probably my soul would not have raised out of my body consciously. So I'm like, ooh, a fairy, follow the fairy. So I literally felt my body vibrate. And then what looked like, I guess you could say it was like what a ghost would look like, which I have seen a few times in my life, over several decades. Not many times, but I have seen ghosts and talked to them a few times, honestly. Okay, so I could see from my eyes, like lifting out of my body, like a white, ethereal, like translucent wispiness, okay? My body was shaking, and then I lifted out of it, and all I could think was, oh, it's Tinkerbell. You can't make this stuff up. So I lift up higher, and the first thing out of my mouth was, thank you, Mahanta. Thank you so much, because I do speak with the current living Eckmaster, and that's eckankar.org if you ever want to check it out. There's even online book discussions, which are fascinating, that you can check out. But so I'm like, thank you. So this is the tie-in to gratitude. So I lifted, and then the next thing I thought is, first I thought, I hope, I'll tell you the truth. I thought, well, this made it a little personal, but I said, I hope I have clothes on as I lift out of my body, because when you do travel, it's like, what are you sleeping in? I hope I'm covered enough, But then I thought, why is it that the ceiling looks different? Like as I lifted higher, I was almost right at the ceiling. And the ceiling looked like it was in a state of decay. Weird, right? So the next thing you know, I thought, ooh, I want to go through the walls. And then all of a sudden, they pulled me back to the left, and I entered, and I floated down gently and entered the left side of my physical body. And I saw fog and mist on the ground. And then I was back in my body. And I was like, whoa, okay. So I'm like, thank you. So there's where the gratitude ties in. So I was so grateful for that experience to actually know that, yes, I can have waking soul experiences in the dreams, but this was truly lucid, like awake fully. So I'm like, okay, this stuff is real. So it happened. But what did I want to tell you guys? So yeah, it was just an incredible experience, but I think that, I was grateful. So I feel like, I think that got me there on some level. Now, when I was unsure later about why did the ceiling, first of all, my ceiling is perfectly painted, okay? So I'm like, why did it look like it was disintegrating? And then on my YouTube feed, there was Harold Klemp, the current living Eckmaster, in a video that came up in my feed talking about out of body, and how when you actually do soul travel like awake, that things look very different when you're not in your body, because the physical world that we're inhabiting right now is actually disintegrating before your eyes. Like, you don't see it, but actually everything's in a state of disintegration, including our bodies. Oh my gosh. And you can see it that way. It looks that way. Then he also said that when you walk through a wall, for instance, I haven't gotten there yet, but if you do, and you have to have morals, you don't just go anywhere. I wouldn't go anywhere where someone else is not cool, you know? So I don't think you can actually do stuff if you try to do bad stuff like that, I think it's going to be stopped. But when I wanted to go through one of the walls, I immediately went back to my body. And I think it's because in that video also, he talks about how the walls, insides of the walls would freak you out. So I'm thinking, oh, he spared me, because had I gone through the walls and they were like, you know, if there was like anything weird in there, I might have been like, ooh, I never want to soul travel again. So I'm telling you guys, this is really real. And the reason I'm sharing it is because I feel like we need to understand who we are. We are soul, and it's not like evil. It is just our nature. You understand? It's our nature to be able to do these things. But because that information is not talked about, it, people have been afraid to talk about it because they've been so condemned. Think about Salem, right? I don't call myself a witch. I'm not a witch. I don't do spells. I don't do any of that. But what I just told you would have been considered an evil witchcraft, and it's not. Or picking herbs would have been conceived of as evil witchcraft, and it's not. There's nothing wrong with utilizing your natural gifts if you can soul travel or do, consciously out of body, or lucid dreaming, or see auras or orbs, or, talk with ghosts once in a while. Like, I'm glad that they actually have that. It's a cute little show called Ghosts on CBS, actually. I really like that because that is really real, guys. So I feel like it's kind of my mission on some level. At this point, it's kind of been made aware that I'm supposed to share this stuff because there's other people out there, and you guys don't shame yourself. I did for years. I didn't want to talk about it. I was like living in fear almost. Well, definitely fear. I was like, I shouldn't talk about this. It's weird. But it's actually real.